What's up, Steeler fans? Another loss, 1-2 to the Browns of all damn teams. A Deshaun Watson-less Browns, Jacoby Brissett embarrasses our defense, a defense that was once considered this season to be championship style or potential. Now, I get it. Reigning defensive player of the year isn't in. However, there's more than one player on this team. And for the second week in a row, the defense got ran down their throat. I mean, you can't say it any different than that. The Steelers just got the ball. They were the less dominant team this today. Mitch Trubisky showed a little bit of promise in the first half, but then turned into the Mitch show late in the second half. Came back. Deontay Johnson had a few drops in prime time. This is the reason why, in my opinion, this is why Steelers fans did not want to give the big bucks or the big contract to Deontay Johnson. And that's because during the prime time and the biggest moments, he drops the ball. He had 3 drops tonight, all of them in his hands, in the breadbasket. I mean, one for a large gain down the sideline, and Butterfinger shows up again. I think Najee Harris, if you guys have been following me, please hit that like and subscribe button. Those that have been following me know that I talked about Najee Harris not too long ago, saying that his vision was a little bit suspect early on, but I attributed that to rust. You look back at Le'Veon Bell when he was holding in due to his contract or holding out due to his contract. When he came back in, it took a couple of games for him to get back in game shape. Najee Harris missed out majority of the offseason with the Liz Frank spring. And so I expected him to be a little bit rusty, and I said it in the last game. He looked like he had a little bit more burst and a little bit more bounce to his step, even though he was coming off of another injury to his legs. And so in this game, it seemed like he was finding the holes. He was doing things, moving the ball down the field with his legs. I was very pleased with the performance that he had in this game. Jaylen Warren, another guy, beast. He would have had a huge reception in the second half had we not shot ourselves in the foot with penalties. Those things, the Steelers cannot make these type of mistakes with this type of offense that they have. The margin of error is too low. I think that even though Mitch Trubisky played better in this game, he reminds me of what it felt like watching Ben Roethlisberger pass the ball to Hayward Bay. Like, it was a 50-50 if the ball was going to get caught. I feel like that every time Mitch Trubisky goes back to pass. Yeah, he's shown some flashes. Yeah, he's shown some things that he can do some things. However, more oftentimes than not, it's been a situation where you're holding your breath trying to, figure out whether or not he's going to make the right decision or check it down or run out of bounds for a sack. And so in this game, like I said before, it seemed like he played a little bit better. But when you put him up against the opposition and you match him up against the opposing quarterback, I think Jacoby Brissett outplayed him. I mean, at the end of the day, Mitch Trubisky managed to get the 17 offensive points. You put that with the 14 points that they got last week, the 23 points, which was also in extended play and overtime. This team's averaging 18 points a game. That's super low. That's not a formula for a playoff winning team, or that's not a formula for a successful team. That's a formula for a top 10 draft pick next season. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers don't make a change soon, I think that that's what's going to end up happening. Now, I think that the play calls tonight were a little bit more, focused down the field. I felt that the Steelers stretched the ball a little bit. Again, they didn't really attack the middle of the field. So many times I saw Pat Freiermuth open down the middle, and yet, Mr. Trubisky preferred to throw it down the sideline or down in the flats. It's very frustrating, to watch this offense get so little points. If you look at it, last week in the second half, they managed 3 points. I think that's what they've been able to manage for the last 3 games, is only 3 points in the second half. Yeah, because I believe that in halftime, the Pittsburgh Steelers were going in 17-3 against the Cincinnati Bengals, only managed to score 3 points in the second half of that game. Last week, they were going into halftime, I believe it was with 14 points and didn't score in the second half. But it's just so poor, man. And this week they only scored 3 points in the second half. The offense is it's just dismal, In the first half, like I mentioned before, Mitch Trubisky played a little bit better. However, in the final drive to potentially put up some points, he looked a little shaky. He looked like the old Mitch. Second half comes around, he played a little bit better, but down the stretch again, a little shaky. Also, the drops from Deontay Johnson didn't help. But when you look at it like in this total and as a total, do you guys think, and let me know in the comment section, do you guys think that Kenny Pickett can get more than 17 points a game, more than 18 points a game? I think so. I think we should start the kid. I think he can give the spark that this team needs. Now, let's go through the comment section. Let's see what you guys are saying real quick. Also, please hit that like and subscribe button. We're giving away 2 tickets to see the Steelers versus Raiders. We're giving that game is on December 24th, but we're giving away those tickets on October 30th. So hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you get all the notifications about that contest and all my daily questions and lives. So Jeremy Abbott goes, I'm pissed, Tomlin, you suck. I'll say something about Tomlin that he's very stubborn and stuck in his ways and doesn't like to admit that he's wrong. And in this scenario here with Mitch Trubisky at the press conference, he was asked flat out, is there going to be a change at the quarterback or play calling duties or play caller or offense coordinator? And he flat out said definitely no. He's not at that position. He doesn't share that train of thought. He thinks that he said he's going to go back, watch the film. But in my opinion, Mitch Trubisky just kind of teeter-totters between bad and average. He has some flashes, like, for instance, the long ball to George Pickens. But in my opinion, that was more on George Pickens being amazing than it was Mitch Trubisky's ball placement. How's it going, Claude Bishop? Good to see you in. Let's see. It's absolutely ridiculous to have a quarterback like Pickett just sitting. We struggling. Tomlin should have sent him out there already. Seriously, let's go Pickett, number 8, playing the whole second half at least. I thought that there was a possibility that Pickett would come in. I really did. After the first half, I didn't think it was going to happen once the game started and Mr. Trubisky started to play well. I thought maybe in garbage time or towards the end of that fourth quarter, but as the game was still competitive and there was still a slight possibility of victory, I didn't think we'd see Pickett. But this is going to be a long break. When you look at the schedule and what's coming up ahead, the New York Jets at home is a good opportunity, in my opinion, to put in the rookie. I just don't think that Tomlin's going to do it. And it's unfortunate. Claude Bishop goes, that defense was trash. And I agree, and here's the thing. No offense to number 91, Delonte Scott, but I really don't want to see him on the field anymore. Like, that he is a liability when it comes to the running game and passing game and everything else that it comes with the defense. He's undersized, very tall and skinny guy, and he's just getting pushed around so much. Malik Reed, the Cleveland Browns were running right at him as well. There's money in the front office. Omar Khan in the front office have to do something. They need to make another move at the outside linebacker position. It's weak. It's pathetic. It's poor. The depth isn't good. It's a bunch of practice squad guys that are out there. And it shows. It definitely shows when you're watching the game. You can see how poor the outside linebacker position is without TJ Watt. Alex Highsmith, in my opinion, played fairly strong, especially in the first half. But this is a tired defense. They've been on the field a tremendous amount of time. I mean, they took over 100 snaps in the first game against the Cincinnati Bengals. They were ran through in the second half of the New England Patriots game. They're tired, and I get it. But the front office needs to do something to get some depth behind TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, because even once TJ Watt comes back, you can't throw him in there and play him the amount of snaps that he was prior to being out there. You can kind of wean him in a little bit for his protection, for his health, so to speak. And so, with that being said, in my opinion, at least, as we're going to need somebody else out there in the outside linebacker position for anything else, at least depth. Let's see what else we have in here. How's it going, Lauren? Let's see. I'm just angry about this trash offense. Yeah, I agree. And she goes, Ben Trubisky, and I agree as well. You look at the stats; they are what they are. He averages about 190 yards per game passing. He had 207 this game. an 81.1 rating, which the league average is around 92, 94. So he's still below average when it comes to his play, even in this game, even though he showed some flash, so to speak, because the one thing that I did like, or his ability that did show up today that I liked, was his ability to move up in the pocket. And today, I've been harping on him. I was like, the reason why we got Mitch Trubisky was because of the mobility aspect and extending the plays. He hadn't done that up until this game. In this game, he did that. He moved up. He was able to find receivers down the field, and well, at least in the first half. In the second half, it's like the team got complacent with where they were at. They were down 14-13. I don't understand why they were complacent at that point. But it is what it is, and it's just Lauren says fire Matt Canada. I'm not sure about that one yet. I would rather see what Matt Canada can do with Kenny Pickett before we let him go. I think that Matt Canada has an offense that, when run correctly, can be dynamic. However, the players that are within the offense have to have a certain skill set. And up until this point, until Kenny Pickett steps in the field, that skill set isn't going to be achieved. It's not like one of those offenses where you can have multiple different styles of quarterbacks go in there and fulfill it. It's very similar to it's not similar to, but similar as in when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, they have a backup that's mobile. Their main quarterback is mobile. Their offense is designed for a mobile quarterback. You wouldn't see a Mason Rudolph fit in that style of offense. So the Steelers have an offense. The Matt Canada offense is designed for an accurate quarterback that can move and throw on the run. And Mr. Trubisky is not very accurate. And Kenny Pickett is. He's a very accurate quarterback. That's what he brings out of Pitt. And he's not afraid to attack over the middle. And so I'm all for it. I'm all for bringing him in. Let's see. George says, thanks for the show. What do you think about Highsmith now? I was against DJ's big money bag, but think the price was okay. We have Pickens Dev now. So let's break this down. Highsmith, I think he's doing fantastic. I think he's stepping it up this year. I just think that the defense is out there way too long. They need to minimize the amount of time that they're on the field with the offense's time of possession. The offense needs to create more time of possession to create more rest for this team. They're worn out. They're tired. It's obvious. You can see it. And this is not a formula, or is not a sustainable formula for success for this team. DJ, the big bag, yeah, I was against it as well. I thought that, the Pittsburgh Steelers, with the deal that they got from him, was suitable. I think it's okay. I like it. I would have been very disappointed had the Steelers handed him a huge bag and then he continues to perform in this manner under the big lights. It's in prime time. It's when it matters the most, where all eyes are on him. The entire world is watching, and he drops the ball consistently. He had 3 drops tonight in important times as well. It's drive stoppers. Drives that could have continued to put points on the board, which could have changed the outcome of this game. It's, the margin of error is very low when you have a quarterback who is capped with his talent and his abilities. We don't have a quarterback that, when it comes to Mitch Trubisky, he's not a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen that's going to be able to will victories from his arm. That's not going to happen. I think it's time. And I just feel that Mike Tomlin is going to sit on it. And for a guy who states that he doesn't live in his fears, it feels like he's doing a lot of that lately. Definitely. Lauren says Terrell Edmonds sucks. I wouldn't go that far. I think he's done a fantastic job this year. I think he had a poor game, a poor outing. I think he was targeted. Even more so, I think Ahkello Witherspoon had a poor outing as well. The defensive backs, I mentioned it in the offseason, guys. I said the best friend for your defensive backs is a pass rush. And when TJ Watt is in there and Alex Highsmith is healthy, you have a huge pass rush, and you saw what happened. The Pittsburgh Steelers were getting turnovers. Those things were working. When there's no pass rush and the team gets tired late in the second half because they've been on the field for so long for so many games, and now they have to deal with a dynamic running back duo in Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Well, you're going to see what we saw tonight. And, without the depth there, especially in the outside linebacker position, it's definitely a problem for the front office in this position. But at this point, there's money there for the Pittsburgh Steelers to go out there. I'm not sure who's out there in free agency anymore. I'm not sure if maybe, Taco Carlton, I think he might still be available. That guy is a lot better than Scott and or Jameer Jones, and has the pedigree. He did a lot better, in my opinion, for us last year. I wouldn't mind bringing him back. Let's see. Adam Richard goes, it wasn't Deontay Johnson's best night. It wasn't our defense's best game. The entire offense played uninspired football in the second half. I completely agree. It was like they came out, they had that drive, and the penalties kind of shot them in the foot, and then they just kind of like turned it down, turned it off until the fourth quarter, and it was frustrating. It was frustrating. George O.T. says Warren is better than Najee, or at least good enough to get 40% of the reps. I will say this about Warren. I'm not going to say that he's a better running back than Najee Harris in total, not yet. I will say right now he's playing better, he's running better, but the protection of the ball is key, and he put the ball on the ground. Now, one thing I will say that he is probably a lot better than Najee that I'm seeing, and not saying that Najee's bad at this. It's just I think that Warren excels in that is pass protection. His ability to protect Mitch Trubisky is amazing, and it's not something that was asked out of him out of Oklahoma. And so it's not only awesome, but it's a huge surprise and a thing that I think is going to get him more time on the field. He looks fast. His burst is quick. He's quick running back. He's hard to find because of his height. He has a low center of gravity, so he's hard to tackle. He's a cannonball out there on the field. And, I had Tony Serino on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he said that Jaylen Warren is the kind of running back that, makes you question getting a running back in the first round. I think that Jaylen Warren has done a fantastic job, and if he can fix and, take care of the ball and cover up the fumbling issue that he has, he's going to be a fantastic option for us moving forward. But I wouldn't be opposed to putting it and seeing more of Jaylen Warren and letting Najee Harris get right. I think he's getting right. He's getting there. His running today seemed a lot better. His vision was a lot better. He's getting more comfortable. And I think once he gets back into full game shape and back into the swing of things and the rust is completely shaken off, I think he's going to be a dynamic back. And I think the combination between Warren and Najee could be deadly. I would like to see both players on the field at the same time, make defenses guess which player we're going to give the ball to. We'll see. But good question, good comment. Let's see. Alan Richard goes, Mitch seems like he's afraid of contact. He slides all the time. He seems like, in my opinion, he gets careless. There was another situation where he got tackled from behind where he was trying to fake out a defensive back, very similar to what we saw a couple of games ago where he almost got swatted from behind. His pocket presence is bad. I really there, and they brought it up in the broadcast today. They mentioned that he left some clean pockets again. That can be an issue. Now, I did like the way he moved up today, and I think he made a step forward in that motion where, when the blitz or when pressure was coming out from the outside, he was able to move up and throw the ball down the field in the first half. That was not there in the second half. It's a lot of the same stuff. It's inconsistent. If he was a little bit more consistent, it'd be better. Also, they brought it up in the broadcast about him throwing off his back foot. I don't think that the announcer realized that that's been a constant thing. That's more of his norm than throwing with power and direction. It's bad. Let's see. Blue Gold said this offense is disgusting. I would agree. Let's see, Claude, the defense, penalties, drop passes, and Canada were the main reason why they lost. I really don't put this one on Canada. The decisions from the quarterbacks who throw over the middle of the field also have to come into play. I think that the offense looked more, Canada can't be blamed for the penalties. Canada can't be blamed for the drop passes. And so, I think Canada ran it. This was a more unpredictable offense. I think the running game was pretty solid. I think Najee Harris, had more burst and showed up a little bit better. I think Jaylen Warren he showed up again as well. I just feel that, that quarterback position, like I said, it's like watching Hayward Bay catch a football every time he takes the snap. It's like I'm holding my breath because I think it's going to be dropped when they would target Hayward Bay. It's the same thing with Mitch Trubisky. I'm like, man, is he going to get sacked? Is he going to run out of bounds? Or is he going to throw directly at a defensive back right in front of him and miss the wide open receiver running down the sideline? It's one of those things when it comes with him. Like I said, he did do better today. It's just, in my opinion, it's not enough. I mean, 17 points in a 4-quarter game that's not enough. I mean, he had 14 points last week. It's mediocre at its best. It's game management that's not even, in my opinion, to that point, like to that level of competency with game management. I mean, maybe today was probably his best game management job that he's done, but again, throwing off his back foot. I think it's time to see the kid, maybe some accurate passes down the field. There was one horrific throw that Mr. Trubisky had right before the end of the half towards Deontay Johnson that was like 15 feet above him, wide open in position to maybe potentially get 3 points on the board. Those 3 points could have been huge at the end of this game, in my opinion. Let's see. George goes, wide receivers did let the team down. Mitch did give them chances to make plays. I agree. Mitch did give them a chance to make plays. Like I said, it's just the eye test is it's not good there. He seems uneasy. He seems, I wouldn't say scared, but he does play with what it would look like with extreme caution. We'll leave it at that. Let's see. The defense, Robert Cotton goes, the defense hasn't looked good since TJ Watt went down with an injury. I agree. The defense really has, they've flashed as well, but the problem is there's not that much depth, especially in the outside linebacker position. When you have Jameer Jones, Delonte Scott that are coming in and playing significant playing time, those are practice squad guys. You're going to see performances like we've seen. Now, when it's Alex Highsmith and Malik Reed out there, I think it's been a little bit more serviceable. However, it's still not to the level that we expect or that we need from the reigning defensive player of the year. And I can't wait for him to get back out there. Another player that we're looking forward to returning is Monte Casey. He's going to be a middle linebacker, hybrid safety kind of guy, going to be moving up in the box, going back into coverage. I think that there'll be less Robert Spillane on the field in dime situations once Casey comes back. And that's going to be a positive thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers and for this defensive back situation that we have here. And so, it's just going to be a matter of holding up and trying to stay afloat until those players come back and hoping that the offense can maintain some type of time of possession so that way the defense isn't out there so much. Let's see what we got. Great comment. Steelers Freak says, I have watched breach bursts that looked easy. That was funny. I didn't pre-read that one. I read that live, so that was funny. Just watch the Bills and Bucks. When we play those two teams coming up, that's going to be those defenses are solid. That those two games can turn into embarrassing games pretty quick, especially if Mitch Trubisky isn't on his game. Like I said it many times, the margin of error isn't very high for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. They can't afford things like turnovers or costly penalties in certain situations. It cost them today. The drive with Jalen Warren, it cost them the missed field goal by Boz, which wasn't his fault. The wind was crazy. It was going down the middle, and the wind just pushed it tremendously to the right. Yeah, it was bad. Let's see. Alan Rich goes, I think the Steelers are in trouble next year. I think they're in trouble this year too. It's going to be a long season. It's going to be tough. I think that, in my opinion, put in the kid, see what you got in Kenny Pickett. If what we're seeing out of Mr. Trubisky is this, and this is going to be the highlight of what he's going to do and as a Pittsburgh Steeler in his career here. 207 yards, 20 for 32, and that's going to be his ceiling. Maybe throw a touchdown, maybe try not to throw an interception. What's the point in keeping the kid on the bench? I think that at this point, let's see what he got. Let's take a chance. Robert Cotting says the Steelers could have won last week without three major errors. Well, yeah, I mean, there was some three major errors that happened in that game. There was a few major errors that happened in this game. Most of them were self-inflicted penalties that stopped drives and dropping of passes. And also, Mitch Trubisky throwing the ball like a mile over Deontay Johnson's head when there was an opportunity to score at the end of the half in this game. When the pressure is up, Mr. Trubisky just doesn't seem to have it. He doesn't have that intention and that characteristic in his game that Ben Roethlisberger had for many years, that we've seen in Kenny Pickett at this point in the preseason, being able to score in the end of games or in the end of halves when given the opportunity to. So let's see. Fake football. Pickett's catch was fake too. I'm not sure what that means. Let's see. Oh, this year you meant. Yes, sir. Yeah. Alan Richard goes, yeah, it's going to be tough. I don't think the season's over yet, Ed K. I think that, it's a long season. The teams in the AFC West have to play each other. And so they're going to beat each other up. I think that the Steelers are going to be okay as long as they can, make some changes, and they need to make some quick. I think that if they can put in Kenny Pickett, and if he can show up and be a serviceable, QB, this would be a great experience for him. And also, an ability to catapult us into the future, so to speak, into knowing what we have in this team. Because, Colin Cowherd makes a great point. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are coming out in this next upcoming draft that are expected to do some good things. It's expected to be a high quarterback draft. And at the rate the Pittsburgh Steelers are going, I'm expecting us to have a high draft pick. And so, if Kenny Pickett isn't the guy, let's just say we put him in and he's not the guy, I'd rather find out now with the opportunity to get somebody, in this upcoming draft versus dealing with this type of mediocrity for the next 5-6 years. Let's see. John 5 says, no, we can't start Pickett. He's not ready for the NFL. What makes you think that? Like, he's 24 years old. He's older than some of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. He's had 50 plus starts in college in a pro style. He's been in an NFL pro style offense. He won an ACC championship. He broke all of Dan Marino's records. He's a quarterback on the rise that is shown to be one of the top quarterbacks in this upcoming draft. When you've had quarterbacks in other drafts who have started and excelled, starting early off, with what you have with flag football and in shorts football and in season ball, it has propelled the talent coming into the draft, coming out of college. The players, that's why you have the Josh Allens, you have the Patrick Mahomes, you have so much more talent coming out of the drafts and so many more quarterbacks sticking than before. And in my opinion, it's because you have all these, spring ball, flag football games, which is also increasing the talent in the wide receiver position. And so that's why we have, receivers coming into the draft that are crazy talented and have abilities outside of this world. George Pickens was a second round draft pick. And you see what his abilities are. He was there was several receivers chosen ahead of him. And so, the same thing can be said when it comes to the quarterback position. I think that is an excelled, as it has been advanced and has excelled as far as the talent goes because of those off-season avenues of play. So I think I think he's right. I think the Steelers need to find out whether or not he's the guy. Let's see. And I'm gonna skip through a little bit. Najee does look a little bit slow. I will say that is true. George says that KP8 will do better, but it's not his time. I have no doubt that Mitch is the best play for now. I don't know, man. I think Mitch Trubisky is what he is. He's shown to be who he is since he's been in Chicago. He's had some flashes here and there, but for the most part, it's been mediocre at best. It was a surprise to most, including Chicago Bears fans, in my opinion, when he was selected number 2 overall in the 2017 draft. and it was believed that he was a reach. And I think that that was an accurate, you know, um, analysis on where they got him and what they got him for. But yeah, no, this game was, it wasn't on him per se because he wasn't the one dropping the ball and things of that nature. And I think he did enough to win this game. However, you know, he's dueling against Jacoby Brissett. It's not going up against Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. And you know, the defense that he was playing against, especially late in that game, was missing some pieces. You know, they had going into the game, Clowney was out already, and then they lost their two middle linebackers throughout the game and still couldn't exploit the middle of the field. I don't know. I don't think that he's the answer, even for now, in my opinion. Hey, Arsenal DB, how's it going? That Edmonds on Cooper play took me out. Why would we put Edmonds on Cooper in single coverage? You know, and I think I know which one you're talking about. That one was for the touchdown. Minka could have been a little bit quicker on that one too, getting to that spot. I saw that play and I was like, man, this guy's going to do a slant. Come on, Minka, or cut in. I mean, and he didn't get to it. But you know, I think that Edmonds is doing fine. You have to do something different every now and then. If you're playing zone the entire time, they're just going to run zone beaters on you and take you out of the game. And so let's see. Mitch isn't a bridge QB, more like a one rope fairy. Yeah, it is what it is. Let's see. Yeah, I'm probably going to be calling this here pretty soon, guys. I want to thank everybody in the live chat. Don't forget, guys, we're giving away 2 tickets to see the Steelers play the Las Vegas Raiders to a subscriber. So please hit that like and subscribe button. It's another loss, man. We have a long week to let this one sit in. 2 losses in a row. It's a bad taste in my mouth. I'm sure it's a bad taste in the Steeler Nation. But they got the Jets at home. A potential bounce back week to get back to 500, to then go into the probably one of the more toughest parts of the schedule. You know, this is going to be a battle tested team. And if they can come out with a winning record throughout this next few games, you know, and if they can get TJ Watt and have a winning record at that point, then the Steelers might be able to go do something. I don't have much faith in Mitch Trubisky and that something going very far, but you know, I mean, they can be competitive and do some things and make some noise. But I hope that potentially we see KP8 sometime soon. I think that he could be the spark that the Pittsburgh Steelers need. But with that being said, guys, I'm Daniel J. This is Stay the Steelers. Y'all have a great night. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace.